Kadosh Boker Or Masechet Bava Kamma Daf Pei Daled Amud Aleph 84A1. We are on the two dots. Two dots is 2, 4, 6 lines down. Two dots. Says the Gemara Tanya Idach. We learned in the Braita. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says Ayin Tachat Ayin. When it says Ayin Tachat Ayin, what does that mean? Mamon. Ata Omer Mamon. Do you say that it's going to be Mani or Ayin Oela Ayin Mamash? Maybe it's Mamash the eye. Hareshaya Suma Vesime. Right? Kitea v'kite. What happens if the guy was already blind and he blinded somebody else, or he already had his hand cut off, and he cut off somebody else, or loved up a hand, but it's basically something that was cut off. Right? Chiger, he was limping, he was lame, all right, and he did it to somebody else. How am I going to be mekayim? He's already that way. And the Torah says, so obviously the fact that it says that, if the guy was already blind in one eye, so what are you going to do? Right? He was blind in two eyes. What are you going to do to the guy? It says, mishpat echad yelechem. It's kulchem. Everyone's equal. So it has to be money. So Amri, they said, my question, what's the question? This always we say. Listen, there's a lechatchila and mediavad. Lechatchila hechad efshar. If you're able to take out the eye, you take out the eye. But if the guy is already blind, so they're okay. So then you do something else. Then you could do money. Then we make him actually patur. If you're not going to say that, trefa sharaget shalem. Imagine you have a trefa. Trefa, that's somebody that's going to die within the year. Yeah, he's going to kill a full-fledged Jew. Right, a full-fledged normal human being. What's going to happen? You're not going to kill? Like, what's going on? Why? Because in such a case, since he's a trefa, think about it. Anyway, right, the trefa was going to die. But misken the other guy. The other guy was not going to die. The other guy was going to live for another 50 years, 7, whatever it was. You understand? The trefa was going to die. Okay? Fine. Tevere bishmel tana. The Rishmael, they actually come and they say, there's another place where we know it. You know where it's from? Amar the Pasuk says, right, ki naten bo, it says, kasher iten mum ba'adam ken inaten bo, ve'en netina lamamon. When you're giving it to him. What is giving? Giving is always money. When you give, it's always money. So ela me'ata, so they're going to ask the following question, kasher iten mum ba'adam, hachanami de mamonu? So he says, when it says, kasher iten mum ba'adam, that's also going to be mamon? Like, what's going on exactly? So Amri, they said, the Rabbi Ishmael kra yetera darshi. The Rabbi Ishmael, they learned an extra pasuk. Michti ktiv, it's written, v'yishki ten mumba mito kasher asa ken yaselo. Right, when a person is going to come and place a mumba mito, kasher asa, the way that he did, that's what they're going to do to him. Ken yinatem bo lamali. Why do I need this? Ken yinatem bo. What does it mean? These words are extra. Whatever is it, ken yinatem bo, you should give. Oh, give. Shmami, no, it's shmami. I come to teach you that it's mamon because it's extra. So why do I need that when a person is going to place a blemish in a human being? So I did the by michtav ken yinatem bo. Since you had to write down that he has to give money, katav gamken kasher yiten mum ba'adam, that it's like dama. When he has to give money, the money for what? You have to place. You have to say that he actually hit somebody else. Okay, another writer. There's another pasuk. The pasuk says yad biyad. What does it mean yad biyad? Right? Davana nitam miyad liyad. Something which is given from hand to hand. What's the only thing which is given hand to hand? Money. Mula, they come, lana, they come, they pass it on. So, mind you, what is that? Mamon. So, says the Gemara, okay, fine. What do you do with the regel beregel then? What is it, a ball? Right? You're passing from foot to foot. Yeah? Nami achyu. But you're going to tell me the same thing? So, Amri, they said, no, you're right. They had an extra pasuk. It says, you have to do kasher zamam, what he planned to do to his brother. If you think it's mamash kipshuto, yad biyad lamali. Why do I need yad biyad? Shemamina comes to Mamon. Meaning, since it was extra, that's why he said, okay, so it comes to teach you money. Regel beregel amali. So why do I need regel beregel? So I did the chtiv, once it's written yad biyad, it's also written regel beregel. But you're right, regel beregel doesn't teach you anything. But if it already told you yad biyad, teach you regel beregel. Abaye Amar, Abaye is going to bring another braita. Atyam mi the Tana de Chizkiah. We learn it from the Tana of Chizkiah, the Academy of Chizkiah. The Tana of Chizkiah, but they learned in the Academy of Chizkiah, which is the Bet Midrash. Ayin tachat ayin, nefesh tachat nefesh. V'lo nefesh ve'ayin tachat ayin. Whenever you have, it's always an eye for an eye and a nefesh tachat nefesh. But if it's never going to be a nefesh and an ayin, tachat ayin. Now it says, if you're going to think mamash, that it's mamash the eye, zimnin demishkach la'ayin ve'nefesh tachat ayin. Sometimes it can happen. Why? Because sometimes when you blind a person, you could take out the neshama. Remember, the eye is very, very important. The eyes and the ears, right? The ear also. Right? On the Ilchot Shabbat, it's brought down as mamash, eyes and ears. Right? Why? Because like the neorah, the light of the human being is connected. So it's very, very important. The eyes and the ears. If a person could become, whether it's blind or sometimes it could die from it. It's not simple. Okay? So he says over here, so sometimes he could die. So therefore, if a person is going to come and literally take out the eye, right? Or so it could be that they're going to kill him at the same time. So says the Gemara, my kushia, what's the question? Dilma meimad amdinan le. Maybe they're going to come and they're going to evaluate him. So let's evaluate him. If we could blind him or so then fine. And if not, then we're not going to do it to him. Right? If you're going to tell me, and all of a sudden he does die, he might lemut if he is okay. So if he died, he died. Milotani, we learned the same thing by Malkut. It says umet tachat yado. And what does it say over there? He's going to be patur. What does that mean? The guy that's giving makot, they evaluate him. Now, what happens if the guy dies still? Listen, they evaluated him for 20. They gave him 18 and he died. Okay, what do you want? He's not going to be chayav. He didn't give anything extra, right? He happened to die beforehand. So he's going to be patur. Okay, another braita. Rav Zvid says in the name of Rava, Amar, he comes, he says, the pasuk says, Petzata hapatza. Litein tsar bimkom nezek. It's giving tsar instead of the nezek. V'yisal gadani mamash. Now, if you're going to tell me now it's mamash, ki yechid lahai havi letzara, just like it's going to be tsar, lahai nami letzara. You have tsar also. So says the Gemara, umay kushya, what's the question? Dilma, maybe ika inish mefanek. Maybe you have a person that's mefunak. Ve'il letzara tvei, which you have a lot of tsar. V'ikanish de lo mefanek, and then you have another person that's not mefunak. Letzara, he doesn't have any tsar. Right? So the what's the nafkamina then? To the person which is going to give to the nechbal the difference between them. Which means if he's going to be mitzter pachot, right, when they give it to him, it comes out of minadin, he has to pay for the tsar instead of the nezek. Which means, and it's true, sometimes it depends on human beings. Some people, they could withstand an immense amount of pain, and some people they can't. It all depends on human beings. Okay? Fine. Rav Papa, Nishme de Rav Amar. Rav Papa says the name of Rav. Amar Kar, the pasuk says, "V'rapo yerapeh liten refuah b'mkom nezek." We're talking about refuah instead of the nezek. V'yisal chadaitach mamash. Now you're going to tell me mamash ki echi dehai baya asya hainami baya asya. So he said, what does that mean exactly? He says ki echi dehai baya asya, just like the chovel, the nechbal, sorry, the one that gets damaged, he needs to be healed. So too, this guy also, the chovel needs to be healed as well. Which means, if they're going to heal both of them, so then, I don't understand. Now, what does that help? Imagine, somebody comes, he punches somebody else. Okay, he has to go to the hospital, he needs doctor bills. Now what do? To the guy that punched, you punch him. Now he's going to go to the hospital, and he's like, what did he do? Like, what's going on exactly? So says the Gemara, but my kushe, what do you want then? It all depends how they become cured. Some people get cured quicker, and some people don't. The minaf kamina, to give the difference. So that's why. So basically, it's all like svarot coming and telling you that the fact that it doesn't make sense that you're going to come and you're going to start doing the same to him, and then what? And then let him get it.
The Torah should be more clear. Say we bring all those things to say that's mamad, but eye for an eye, and we are stuck.
These sugiyot are coming to reflect us the.
Rashi comes and he's going to say, I have another pasuk. Atya, we say tachat means shore. It says tachat from the shore. What does that mean? It says ayin tachat ayin uchtivat, and it's written shalem yishalem shore tachat ashor. Just like over there, shore tachat ashor is money. So when it says ayin tachat, the word tachat means money. So says the Gemara, my chaziti alfinan tachat mishor. Why are you learning for tachat mishor? Neilav tachat me'adam. But it says natata nefesh tachat nefesh, and there it's ma'ala halal nefesh mamash. So to mamash. Why are you going to the behemah? Go to the adam, and their tacha means to kill him. So again, the same thing. Amri nizim danin nizikim nizikim v'danin nizikim imita. We're going to judge nizikim from nizikim, damages from damages, and not damages from ita. So ask the Gemara the opposite. I prefer to learn danin adam adam v'danin adam behemah. I prefer to learn adam adam and not adam behemah. Ela Ravashi, but rather Ravashi says, right? Mitachat asherina yalifle. What does that mean? Mitachat asherina. Me'adam nizikim. We're talking about that it's much better to learn adam me'adam and nizikim from nizikim. And therefore, according to Ravashi, it's tachat asherina, since she was suffering when they came and they violated her. Right? They were talking about a na'ara, that she was a na'ara betula, that she was violated. There she suffered, so therefore that's the tachat that we come and we actually punish them. Because obviously, what are you going to do? Are you going to violate him? Like, well, the guy that comes and what are you going to do to him? So therefore, obviously, it's money. So therefore, that tachat is talking about money. Tanya, we learned in the Braita. Rabbi Eliezer says, Ain Tach Dain is mamash. Wow, the first one. See, that means this one says mamash. Mamash, you really think it's mamash? Rabbi Eliezer, why he doesn't hold of all these Tanaim? Look how many Tanaim that we had. Every single Tana until now, I don't know how many we even had, if we would even count them, right? They all come and they say that what? That it's money. He's going to say it's not money. Amar Rabba lomar shen shamin oto keved. He says, no. His kavanah was that we're not going to evaluate him like a slave. Amar le'abaye elakama. So how do you do that? Right? Ke ben chorim. So he says, ben chorini le'dame. Well, he doesn't have money. What does that mean? Like you just take a regular Jewish or a regular person and say he's going to have money of value? Like what's going on? We don't evaluate him like the nizak, like the nezek, but rather the mazik. Right? Okay. So that's very interesting. Like, how we're actually going to evaluate over here. He says here, Shamim kama chovel shaveh, keved achshav. V'kama yashaveh beli, right? Beli ayin. That means we're not evaluating the nizak, the mazik, the one that damaged, not the damager, not the damagee. Sorry, the damager, not the damagee. Okay, fine. Says the Gemara, Hau chamra, the kata yedeh the yenuka. There was a hamor that took off the hand of a child. Ata l'kamed Rav Papa bar Shmuel. So they went in front of Rav Papa bar Shmuel. Amar lehu, he said, Zilu shomule arba'at varim. Go do 4 different things. Amar le Rava, they said Rava. 1 second, we've learned 5 things. Amar le, he says leba mi nezek kamina, except for nezek, which means, right, besides the nezek, you have to do another 4 things, right? So there's nezek and then the other 4. Okay, but there was 5 in the Mishnah. So Amar le Abaye comes and he says, the hamor, who is the hamor? The hamor only pays nezek. He doesn't pay anything else. Amar lehu, he says, zilu shilmen lenizke. So go pay the nezek then. So says the Gemara, you have to actually evaluate him like an eved. Amar lehu, okay. So go evaluate him like an eved. Amar lehu avua dienuka, says the father of the child, lo baina dezila beminta. What? Not only is this going to be a zilzul, that he's going to be sold like a slave. Amrulei, and they told him, right? What are you stopping the shuma from the nezek? Amar lehu, he said, lechi gadol mefayis ni lemididei. He says, kishigdal, I'm going to come and I'm going to, what's it called? I'm going to give him from my own. Take care of it. He said that he wanted to buy for him, exactly. He wanted to buy something for the child so that way the child will have like a piece of property. So in the future, he's not going to be able to work or whatever it is, but at least he has something. So that's what he says. It says in the footnote over here. So that's what they actually wanted to have. Right? Fine. Hau Torah dalas yedid yinuka. There was a shor that came and chewed a hand of a child and he broke it. Sata lekmed Rava. Amalu, he says, Zilu shamen kavda. Go evaluate him like a servant. Amru, they say, V'amor hu damar anisho kol anishom keved en govim oto b'vel. They don't evaluate him. They don't collect money from him in b'vel. Amar lehu, he comes and he says, Lo tzricha, what are we dealing with? The tafas, if you already grabbed the money. Rava goes according to his reasoning. Rava says, Niske shor b'shor, niske shor be'adam, govin oto b'vel. They do collect it in b'vel. Niske adam be'adam, niske adam b'shor, en govin oto. But if it's going to be adam be'adam or adam b'shor, that they don't collect in b'vel. Because basically they need like a much more higher up authority of a bedin. So Maishna, what's the difference between Niske Adam Be'Adam, right, and Niske Adam Be'Shor Dilo? So he says, Elohim Bainan, we need Dayanim Smuchim, right, Velekan, we don't have that. Meaning in Bavel, they didn't have Dayanim Smuchim. Dayanim Smuchim were the Dayanim that they had the smicha of the Dayanut, which is the highest level. You understand, of everything. So Niske Shor Be'Shor, V'Shor Be'Adam. So we're talking about Nizikin of a Shor, right, of a Shor, and a Shor Be'Adam Nami, right? Elokim Bainan, right? Velekan, we don't have that, right? Pedala Numbet. Ela, but rather, Maishna, Shor Beshor Veshor Be'Adam. The Shlichutayu Kavdinam. They're doing the Shlichut. Neither the Ava Odot, just like it's a Hudaot Alavat, which means if they're going to come and they're going to do any type of loans or any type of Halvaot or Hudaot, Adam Be'Adam Veshor, the same thing. Also, he's doing the Shlichut. Neither Ava Odot Valvot. So Amni, they said, Ki Kavdin Shlichutayu, when do they do the Shlichut? Only what they know 100%. But if they don't know 100% all the different halachot, lo avdinu shechad, they don't do it. Which means the dayanim there in Bavel are the shluchim, but only in something which 100% they're experts in. If they're not experts in it, they don't do it. So therefore, they don't do it. Amri, they said, okay, shor b'shor be'adam. Nani lo kimina. He says, what with shor b'shor or adam b'shor be'adam? They're also not experts. Ella pochazi hechi. But go out and look how much is a shore sold in the shuk, right? Or nami, or adam be'adam ve'adam be'shor nami. How much is an eved sold in the shuk? Furthermore, tashlum kefil v'tashlum Bava Kamma Daf dekaitzi nevet shechudah, or at least kefil and Bava Kamma. Meaning, fine, you don't want to do evaluations, but at least double, and Bava Kamma they should be able to do. So Amri, they said, no, they only do mamon in Bavel, not knases. Meaning they do not deal with fines or penalties. They only deal with monetary things like that. A lot of these other things is knas. Right? All these other things is usually knas. It's not okay. Fine. Adam be'adam de mamonuhu. So when we're talking about adam be'adam, that it's going to be money. Na'avet shlichutayu. What do we do the shlichut? So he says, Kika avdina shlichutayu. When do we do the shlichut? B'minta de shchicha. Only in something which was common. Adam be'adam de lo shchicha. But if it's going to be a human being and a human being, it's not going to be common. Lo shchicha, we're not going to do it. Which means they only do things which are very, very common. If it's not common, they're not going to do it. So says the Gemara, are boshet ubgam. He says, what about boshet ubgam? Defect and embarrassment. He says that is common. Now they should be able to do it. So they said, Achanami de Rav Papa, right? Ad be'arba me'azuz ele boshet. You're right. Rav Papa, he collected 400 zuz for boshet. So says Gemara, ve'alet de Rav Papa, teshalach le Rav Chasta Rav Nachman, ve'shalach le chista chasta, knasa kamen. You don't take knases in Babel. So when do they do it? B'minta de shchiach, something that's common and has chison kis. But minta de shchiach, but something which is common that does not have a chison kis, inami minta de shchiach, or something which is not common and does have a chison kis, they do not do it. Hilkach, therefore, adam be'adam, if it's a human being to another human being, even though there's going to be chison kis, but since it's not common, they don't do the shlichutayu. But boshet, even though it is common, but there's no chesron kis for boshet. So therefore, they don't do, right? They don't do the shlichut. Meaning, at the end of the day, boshet, you don't lose money from boshet. You're embarrassed. But it's not something of a monetary. That's not a monetary thing. So therefore, even though it's shchiach, it's no chesron kis. So if it's going to be that if it's shchiach, but there's no chesron kis, or no chesron, there is chesron kis, but it's not shchiach, they don't do it. So that's why they don't do it. Okay? Says the Gemara, Veshor beshor govim b'Bavel. What? Shor beshor, when one ox damages another ox, they are going to collect it in Bavel. The Amar Rava says, Shor sheizik can govin to Bavel. A shor of the damages, they're not going to collect it in Bavel. Okay? The azik man, who's he damaging? Ilema dazik adam. If you're going to tell me that he's damaging a human being, ma'idiyah shor dazik adam. What are you talking about now? A shor that's going to damage a human being? Afilu adam dazik adam nami. Even if a human being is going to damage another human being, it's going to be the same thing. In govino to Bavel, they're not going to collect it in Bavel. Elapshita, but rather dazik shor. We're talking about that it damages the shor. Uktani in govino to Bavel. We already said that you're not going to collect it in Bavel. So Amni, you're right. They said hatam. We're talking about a tam, hacha bemuad, which means like this. When Rava comes and he says that you don't collect it in Bavel, we're talking about a tam. Because a tam is knas, but when it's a muad, it's not knas. He has to pay money. Meaning, when a tam kam has to pay, really, bemet, that what he's paying is a penalty. It's a fine. But when a muad pays, he's already a habituous gorer. He's already a gorer that gores. So that's not the knas. He has to pay the money, full value of damages. It has nothing to do with a knas. That's he has to pay money. So Amri, the Amar Rava and Muad bevel. He says, well, no, but there's no Muad bevel. So Amri, they said, no, no, he was made a Muad in Eretz Yisrael, and they brought him down to Bavel. Okay, so says the Gemara, but that's not common. He became a Muad in Bavel in Eretz Yisrael. They bring him down to Bavel. I thought that you don't do it. So it says the Gemara, he says, Eretz Yisrael, they came to here and they made the shor into a Muad. Meaning they came from Eretz Yisrael to here to make him into a Muad. That means, but they were rabbis from Eretz Yisrael. So says the Gemara, still, sof means it's not common. You told me that anything which is not common, they don't do it. But rather when Rabbi was talking about the Shem V'Regel, that Shem V'Regel, they're already a Muad from the beginning. Okay? Fine. Next. Okay, we're talking about now Tsa'ar. 2 dots. Tsa'ar, what is a Tsa'ar? If he burnt him with a spit?
Could be a stick.
A
skewer. Thank you. Right? A skewer or a masmer. Right? Or nail or whatever it is. Right? A hot nail. So tzad shalom inkom nezek mishtalem mantana. So here it says tzad. Even if there's no nezek, you're going to pay. Who's the tana? So Rava says ben azai. It's ben azai. The Tanya is going to the right. Rabbi says kivya nemra betchila. It says kivya at the beginning. Ben azai says chabura nemar tchila. And my people get what's the machlok between them? Rabbi holds kivya Tele bechabura mashma. It's mashma kivya without a chabura, meaning he got burnt, but it doesn't actually make a blemish, right? K'tav Rachmana. So the Torah says, right? Chabura legolio lekivya did bechabura in. If he has a chabura, yes. If not, no. And as I come, he says no. Kivya did bechabura mashma. K'tav Rachmana chabura legolio lekivya. That means you have both. Sometimes you can have a kivya without a chabura, sometimes a chabura without a kivya. Meaning you have to pay for both. Sometimes you could have a blemish without a burn without the thing. Sometimes you could have the blemish without the burn. So Matki for Rav Papa comes and he asks the following question. Adrab, the opposite. Ibcha misabra. It's much more logical to say the other way around. Rabbi is the one that says kivya. It says at the beginning. So he holds kivya that only has a chabura. That's what's mashma. So the Torah says chabura to tell you that it's kivya, even though there's not a chabura. And Ben Azai says the exact opposite. Chabura says at the beginning. So he holds that when it says kivya, it's mashma that it doesn't have a chabura. So when the Torah says chabura, so you're kivya, which means the hitba chabura in no lo, right? The maskana kaime, and it's all going on the maskana, right? So that's what we actually trying to say that. And basically, our Mishnah is going according to Rabbi, right? That basically he says you only have to pay also on a kivya, even though it does not have a chabura, meaning even if it's a burn, but does not have a blemish, does not have like a thing. Inami, or if you want, by the way, nowadays I think they call it different degrees in the burns, correct? Meaning like first degree, second degree burn, third degree burn, meaning that according to the degree, that's how much bemet you actually have.
The
and
extension.
the extension, yeah, the surface, yeah. Okay. The inami, or if you want, you could also answer the chuli alma. Really, bemet, we're talking about kivya. Ben the it bechabura ben the chabura. Mashma. It's mashma whether it does have a chabura or not. The hacha, but over here. Biklal ufrat and uchakim zemizeka mipalged. There's a machloket to do with klal ufrat, which are very far away from each other. Rabbi holds that we do not make it as a klal ufrat uchlal because they're very, very far away. And Menazai says that we do it as a klal ufrat, right? Even though they're going to be far away. B'chitema chabura leRabbi lamali. So he says, so then why do I need chabura then? For extra money. Okay?